There's no place to escape to.
This is the last
Podcast. On the left.
Side stories?
That's when the cannibalism started.
Side stories. Yes.
All right, we are rolling, boys.
Well, it's New Year's Eve, Henry.
Wow!
You believe that?
I got my lingerie on.
Yeah, I'm still wearing the same clothes that I wore 3 weeks ago. You
Same.
believe that?
Haven't changed once.
I hate it.
I've sat in this chair
Yes.
for 3 weeks. I haven't moved.
Do you have a New Year's resolution?
I actually have a real one.
Okay.
I do. My goal for 2026 is to get better at texting friends for friend things.
Yes, I love this. I did this 2 years ago, and my
Just
life
work.
has been way better.
That's what I'm
Except
trying
I
to do.
did phone calls. I do one call a week.
Yes, I'm going to try to do more optional communication
Yeah.
because we talk all the time, and I forget about the friends that I don't see all the time, and I miss them.
Oh, well, I love you, and I know we exchanged Christmas gifts, but I did get you a gift to say goodbye to 2025.
What is it, a revolver? Oh, you fucking piece of shit. It's scungili.
Yeah,
It's sliced conch.
yeah, I got it for you. It's in a
fucking
can.
piece of fucking
Scungili
shit.
can, dude. That's
I
yours.
fucking hate you.
I put that in. I got it. It's been. It's why your luck has been so bad because it's actually been sitting in the studio for months.
I hate you.
Yeah, I got it from Pinocchio's down the street.
It's all dented.
well, yeah. It's trying to get out.
Did you?
I used it as a hammer.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, did you?
Is that
Okay,
what happened?
fine. Because then we can't eat it.
Yeah. Get
Well, you
botulism.
used it as a hammer.
Just now, like a few minutes ago.
Oh, that's
Really?
fine. Great.
Yeah.
Actually, really, this speaks a lot
You know,
to the...
Rob, you have multiple computers. You're allowed to buy a hammer.
No. I like the idea that it was...
There's
it shows the
3
strength.
cameras.
I had to either
There's
walk upstairs or I could
multiple
use the
televisions. Yeah.
It shows the strength of LaMonica's Canning Industries. And I honestly am really proud of them.
Yeah, it kept the squingili in there.
It did. So
it's a prisoner.
What is your New Year's resolution?
My New Year's resolution? Let me think about this. Well, I found my cause, and I really am going to get behind it.
Yeah, what is it?
My cause is I really like, it's weird because like I've been like, doing the show for a little while, and I always said that once I found any type of success, I would try to find like something to support and get behind. And I recently found my cause, which is
Breast implants for divorced women.
yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, and it's really $10.99 a month. You can help support this.
And honestly,
with me.
and some of us, like, listen, the panel of husbands get together, and what they do is they help shape the perfect breasts for your divorced woman. So the husbands get together, we look at your divorced woman, we decide what size she should get.
Yeah, sometimes it's a reduction.
Yeah, because sometimes, well, very rarely.
Sometimes we remove the breast completely and put in 2 little penises.
Very rarely.
Very rarely because it's expensive.
Very rare.
It has been done.
No, what is it for real? Welcome to Side Stories. My name is Henry Preston. With Ed Larson. He's now going to reveal his actual New Year's Eve resolution.
Yes. I want to get. I'm starting to support. I donated some money. This interview that's about to come up is all about it. I've donated my brain to the Concussion Legacy Foundation.
So you just give it in installments?
Yeah, it's real. They take it in little pieces. It's really nice.
Wow.
Have you not noticed I've been dumber?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I asked.
That's why I've been pee-peeing.
Oh, yeah,
I've been pee my pants.
That's why I asked.
It's so funny when I pee my pants.
I know you like it, but the rest of us are getting alarmed by the smell and the color.
But so this interview we're about to do is with Dr. Chris Nowinski. He is, if you remember from the Hernandez series, he is the guy who collects the brains. He's the guy with the cooler.
Yes.
So when a player dies, he's the one who gets and he goes and he finds the player. And I really wanted to interview him. It was like I was the whole time because he was a football player at Harvard. He was a wrestler in WWE, and then he eventually had too many concussions where he had to stop. And so I had our people reach out to his people, and then finally, like, I just jumped in his DMs and he got back to me.
I really can't say enough how hard Ed worked to to secure this interview, it means a lot, is actually extremely interesting. A very deep look into this issue.
Yes.
From somebody that is at the very forefront. Like, this isn't just like
This is one of the
Nowinski.
it's really, no one's looking into CTE. It's really like a handful of people, and Chris Nowinski is one of them.
Yeah, it's like the people that like just discovered that women get perimenopause. You know what I mean? They like just discovered that like they're like, we should look at it as women's health thing, you know?
Well, consider donating to the Concussion Legacy Foundation, whether it's money or your own brain. I did both, and I love this man immensely, and I can't tell you enough. But please listen to the interview, Dr. Chris Nowinski.
Rise from your grave.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this very important episode of Last Podcast on the Left. I'm sitting here with the man, Dr. Chris Nowinski. He's one of the leading authorities on CTE, that's chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Did I say it right?
Yes, sir.
All right. You're a neuroscientist. You've had multiple TED Talks on the subject. You wrote the book Head Games, which led to the documentary of the same title. You have organized and formed the Concussion Legacy Foundation, a brain donation registry with Dr. Cantu. You've worked extensively with Dr. Ann McKee at Boston University and the Unite Brain Bank. You've played football at Harvard University, and you were a wrestler at WWE. Chris Harvard, the Ivy League snob. Welcome to Last Podcast on the Left. Before we get started, I think you're amazing. I love everything you've done. It means the world to me. Your work has made me cry multiple times. I'm trying to hold it together in this moment. I played football for 9 years. I didn't realize it was a traumatic experience till decades later when I started to like thinking about it a lot. And everything that you've done is a beautiful thing. And so let's start with how you got into this. When you were wrestling at WWE, you got a couple injuries, once from Bubba Ray Dudley, big mean looking dude. But actually, a big friendly dude, looking friendly. He looks friendly. But I wouldn't fight him. And then he kicked you in the head, and then that led to your retirement. And before that, I believe it was Edge fell on you off of the top rope, or jumped on you off the top rope during a Royal Rumble, and that was a major concussion as well. And now you have permanent post-concussion syndrome, correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm mostly better, but there's still some things I wish weren't there.
Yeah. What? So, can you explain like what? How does it so permanent? Like what happens? How do you still feel this? How long ago was this?
This was 2003, and so brain injury is a funny thing. For most of the time, you have a brain injury, you feel symptoms for a while, and you get better. And you sort of never notice it, although now we know they sort of add up over time and they can cause long-term problems. For me, though, with the post-concussion syndrome, you basically get a brain injury where you don't recover the same way. And that's partially because when you have a hit to the head, a million things can go wrong. Yeah. And so it could be actual physical structural brain damage to your brain. It could be damage to the nerves that go into your brain, the dura mater around your brain. And we don't have the tools to figure that out. And so some people are just left with permanent symptoms that they slowly might get better over time. They might need rehab. And I don't know why I developed permanent headaches or I developed a sleep disorder. But, another thing.
And you still have those problems?
The sleep disorder is actually finally quite rare. I developed REM behavior disorder, which means I acted out my dreams. And at the beginning, it was like I was jumping off of beds and I was, putting people in chokeholds. And I couldn't differentiate sleep from reality for a minute, first minute I woke up.
Wow.
Which was bizarre and scary for me and anyone who's with me. And then the headaches, it took me 15 years to get them under control, but now they're mostly under control.
Wow. And do you think that it's obviously you're a neuroscientist, so you know how to do this better than anyone else. A lot of people probably go with this undiagnosed.
Yeah. I mean, you think back now, because now my whole world is people who had years of symptoms after injuries. But, in the 90s, I don't remember that being a thing. And I honestly, we look back and go, these things were happening, but people didn't have a name for it. And I wonder if these are the people we were used to call like burnouts, or people, we just figured out like they just disappeared from the world and we thought there was something wrong with them or psychiatric. But in reality, they developed permanent symptoms and just didn't know, it wasn't worth telling anyone about, because who wants to hear it?
Yeah, no, of course I've dealt with this just because we just did the Aaron Hernandez series, and I've been dealing with this even with my own friends back home. People I love, like, they're like, oh, you're really talking against football? You're really like bringing up these things? You're like, people don't like it. It's because, well, not just the fact that everyone gathers for football. It's a family thing, including with wrestling. People gather to like watch wrestling together. Wrestling's a great outlet for people who, I don't know, in my experience, don't have many friendships. It's like soap opera, so it's a very powerful thing for people, and it's good. It's inherently good to like forming bonds with everyone, but we don't realize that the toll that it takes on people, and also the amount of money that is based around these sports. If you go just straight, forget about ticket sales and beer sales and stuff like that, but like sports bars, merchandise, there's like Rally House is like a whole, it's across the nation now as a sports store. Everyone's got jerseys. There's so much money. I don't even know how to calculate it. So do you get in trouble when you're poking holes into these industries?
I wouldn't say in trouble. I've made a lot of enemies, and I'm not very popular. And I remember, like, I've been invited to like NFL owners' suites as guests, and they won't put my name down. They'll put someone else's name down. They still want me to come, but they don't want to be known to be associated with me. But honestly, like being a heel as a wrestler was like great preparation for like being disliked in this. I'm very comfortable being disliked if I think I'm doing the right thing.
How many years were you wrestling?
I wrestled for 3 years, and I still work for WWE injured when I was injured for 4. So I was part of the company for a long time. It was interesting though, what you mentioned about how the NFL, how your friends reacted. The NFL did a good job of making this not about player safety, but about anti-football, to talk about the bad parts of football, and so what we have spent the last 20 years trying to do is sort of try to make it about, this isn't anti-football. It's all about the bonds that you form in football and your teammates. And it's about doing the right thing. Look at the bright side, because I now have 2 teammates we've lost to CTE, and I keep their photos on my desk.
Who are they?
This was my starting strong safety. We just released that he died at 45 with CTE. And this is me on the cover of the Harvard program, and this is our captain. He died in 2001 and had stage 2 CTE. And so, and both died horrible ways that they weren't trying to. So it's, for me, it's not anti-football, but it's more about, we need to take care of each other.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot we were taught. I grew up playing football in the 90s as well. We were taught to lead with our heads, that's but it was like put your face mask first, and then I was told knock them out, and it was like you were almost rewarded for it,
Yeah.
And the thing is, maybe that's not like that at the higher level, but these lower levels, no one's monitoring us. No one was anyway in the 90s. We were beating the crap out of each other, doing bull in the ring and Oklahomas and all these crazy drills that are just basically punishing people. Like, I remember if someone got in trouble or didn't show up for practice, they'd put them in the middle of the ring and they'd have us all beat the crap out of them, and so it's part of what stuff that happens. And I know this isn't anything that you subscribe to personally. This is just my own personal experience, but I want to get back into wrestling, because when this happened, like, did you know in this incident, like with Dudley, did you know that you were messed up in that moment?
I knew that I had, for the first time, forgotten how the match was supposed to end. But I didn't know that really meant much. And so I remember just telling him, like, hey, guys, I can't remember what's next. Tell me what to do. And so they just kept telling, you can call matches in the ring. It was called the match. My head was throbbing like crazy. The athletic trainer thought something was wrong because I was acting funny. And I was like, leave me alone. I'm fine. Because I came from the football culture where you don't admit anything's wrong.
No, because then you take you out of the game.
Yeah, and it's bad for your reputation. And so I just assumed the headache would go away. And the next day when I woke up and it was still there, after I drove 3 hours to the next show, I was almost going to tell them. And then I walked into the training room and I like saw other guys there like with real injuries and like getting ready with fused necks and like, they're, knee braces for torn ACLs. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell them my head hurts. And so I wrestled for 5 more weeks, basically lying about how horrible I felt, thinking I was doing the right thing.
Wow. How bad is a chair hit to the head?
As bad as you can imagine, as bad as you think it is.
Yeah.
If you put your hand up like we did in the 80s, it's nothing because it never touches your head. But we forgot that, and then part of that was, I think, the ECW influence of, there became an audience for hardcore. And then also people think the internet, when the wrestlers could read, when the fans knew stuff was fake, and that they felt pressured to make it real. And also UFC was coming, MMA was coming around then. And so there was also that competition. So there's all these influences that drove us to, let's all just hit each other for real while I was there. It was like the most dangerous time in wrestling.
I remember when I realized even as a young man that this was kind of messed up was the halftime show between Rock and Mankind when he hit him in the head with the chair.
7 times.
7 times?
I was just with Mick Foley talking about this at our gala because he spoke for us.
Really?
Yeah.
Does he think he has it? I mean, because he put himself out there just as much as anybody, if not more.
Well, so the reason he was there, and the story he told, was in 2013 he was going to make a comeback match, but he was noticing nothing was sticking in his memory anymore. And so he went to the same doctor who retired me. And I said, go to see Dr. Cantu. He's always the best guy to figure this out. And he told this wonderful story on stage about how he did all his tests and he came back 2 weeks later and Dr. Cantu said, you seem like a bright guy. I don't think you should ever wrestle again. And you could probably find someone to clear you, but I will not clear you. And Mick said, my career ended not with a great match, but with a handshake from a guy who clearly cared about my long-term health. And the night before he spoke at our gala, he did one of his stand-up shows because his brain is still working.
Yeah. He's hitting the road hard. Yeah. No, I love going to a club and seeing his face. Yeah.
Yeah. So he saved the next 10, 20 years of his life because he convinced him to stop getting hit in the head so much.
What percentage of wrestlers do you think develop CTE?
We only have there's only 10 brains in the brain bank. There's a lot of guys who've pledged. Okay. And so I think, so also there, Natalia spoke because we diagnosed her dad, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, with CTE. Mm-hmm. And she's now talking about that in her book. He got it primarily from football. He played football from 10 to the NFL. So the reality is, I don't want to speculate because I could speculate on some of the sports where you have really good data. It's certainly a good, decent percentage of wrestlers have it. It's not all from wrestling because there's a lot of ex-football players who go into it, other contact sports. But it's a problem. It started with Chris Benoit was the first sort of window into the fact that we knew, oh gosh, getting, this wrestling can cause this, but if you do it wrong, essentially.
So out of the 10 that you got, how many had it? That you said you've studied 10 wrestlers so far?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can only really speak to the public ones because the other thing about wrestling is that it's an industry where a lot of people who've donated the brain, people stay in that culture, in that business, still sometimes make money. So I think it's been less than half. Okay. That we've studied have had it, but it's been a handful of folks.
Now, you mentioned Chris Benoit. We, I don't know, back in the day before I was a part of Last Podcast and he left, they did an episode on Chris Benoit. So I imagine the listeners are going to want to hear about that. Did you ever wrestle with him? Did you know him personally?
I didn't. Well, so we crossed over, and the first time I met him, the time I got to know him was he just got his neck fused back in 2002 or so. Mm-hmm. I was in Heartland Wrestling, just had been signed. And so he came in, and I remember there's a wrestler named Ray Steele who was tighter with him and sort of got him back into wrestling shape. And he invited me to be the other guy. So we took bumps, and I spent a few hours with him, just the three of us. And I remember at one point he started helping me, And so like my most vivid memory of that is that like I didn't know how to throw a forearm at that point. I've been in wrestling for a few months. And so he's like, well, he's like, anything I can help you with? And I'm like, well, my forearm sucks. He goes, show me. And he dipped his head and I, hit him and I whacked him because I couldn't control it yet. And he's like, oh, all right, that wasn't a good one, and it was like that. He was just a very generous guy with his body and his time to me. And so the other part of that was that when I was injured and I was working on the book, he was the only guy in the locker room who asked me about the book I was writing and all these questions about concussions. And that was the first time he gave me a cell phone number. Was this, it was months or a year before the murder-suicide, where he said, give me a call. I want to talk about concussions because I've had more than I can count. And then when I called him, he sounded like he was in the middle of an argument with somebody. And he's like, I'll call you back. And he never did. And I just had no idea like what now I know he was going to be asking for help and he didn't. And I didn't call him back because I was intimidated by him. And I missed out on probably a chance to intervene on that.
That's very intense.
Yeah. But it's been driving. Well, it drives why I still do this. I mean, I literally was doing that today with somebody, an ex-boxer who's a friend of a friend and wandered out into the snow without shoes in up north and nearly died last night. And we're trying to get him care. That's
heartbreaking. Thank you so much for talking to us. I know you're extremely busy and you were just on the phone with this guy. And so you definitely could have just said, Ed, we'll do this another time. Future reference. Yeah. But
we got it done.
That's amazing. Thank you very much.
Rise from your grave.
Now, Chris Benoit, he was known, of course, for his move, the crossface crippler, but also the flying headbutt. And the flying headbutt, from my brief research on it, that move, people who do that move are linked to trauma, and they've all had to retire early, correct? Or
I haven't done that research. Who else has done it?
Man, I should have wrote it all down, but there was a short list of the flying headbutt and everyone who did it, and they're like, yeah, we quit. We had to quit. I had horrible concussions.
Well,
yes.
I mean, the reality is, we forget, you can't cheat physics. And so if you're going to come off I've come off the top rope, it's horrible. It hurts. Yeah. And if you actually are going to go down with your arms can't brace or control the energy because you'd want to go slap the mat and you can't. All that energy is going to your head. And then the question is, did you really miss him? Because if you make contact with your head, you're sending a huge impulse of energy in your brain.
Especially when it's the leading force. It was Harley Race, the Dynamite Kid, and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Dynamite Kid died young. Harley Race, I think, had dementia when he died. So I mean, I'm certain, certainly that contributed to the whole thing. I mean, I will say that the only note I'll give to teach about the science is that we think CT is mostly caused by rotational acceleration. In the sense that when we see the lesions in the brain at the bottoms, your surface of your brain, your cortex has hills and valleys because basically you've evolved to fold as much cortex as you can. We see the CT at the bottom of the cortex, and it's because when you twist the brain rapidly, your axon creates centripetal force. Axons pull apart. You get tiny tears around blood vessels. When it's just a linear acceleration, your brain compresses a little bit, but it doesn't really stretch, and you don't get that tear. But you can't get a concussion. You do get a brain injury. It's not good for you, but it's a different mechanism. So I don't think the headbutt necessarily would have caused the CT unless they were twisting at the end.
Interesting. Michael Benoit, Chris Benoit's father, thought that it was a sudden change in his personality. Did you notice that? Because you said he was a nice guy and he was a lot of fun to be around.
I didn't have enough interactions to see the change. But I will tell you, I just saw an interview with Nick Dinsmore talking about how he saw the change. Basically, once we diagnosed him, all the wrestlers started to tell me, in the last year, I found him crying in the hallway on the road. He stopped calling matches because I don't think he could remember them. He definitely changed. Yeah.
And now, so whenever a wrestler dies, do you just reach out to the family immediately? Or do you...
So for brain donation, you have 48 hours.
48 hours.
Basically, to get a hold of them, and 72 hours to get the brain taken care of, put in a formalin solution to be studied. So I don't make as many calls anymore because the reality is we've made brain donations so normal. We get more offers of brains than we can afford to study at the brain bank. We're studying about 150 brains a year, and that's all we have the staff and the money to do. And it's one of the most busy brain banks in the world because each one is so expensive and so time consuming. So I call cases that are in the public interest. I certainly call when it's people I know or people I'm one person away from, like I do. But I also don't speak about the cases that turn us down. So I'm never that specific because I don't want anyone to feel pressured that they have to do it.
Oh, I see.
But I make a lot of calls.
I had a specific question about Hulk Hogan, but you can't answer. But I would think that he changed a lot. I think in my lifetime, he was a different dude by the end of his life. And so I think that would have been an interesting one to study if they were willing. But obviously, that's too late at this point. It's been way more than 72 hours.
Yeah, I got to kayfabe all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I understand.
The best use of kayfabe there.
So we said a chair hit to the head's really hard, but you also mentioned a soccer ball can be very bad to the head.
Yeah.
And so you've seen a lot of CTE in soccer players as well.
Yeah, we've seen some in the U.S. where they're seeing a ton of it is in England and Scotland.
Really interesting.
So that basically there's not that many old soccer players in the U.S. because it wasn't cool it wasn't normal mainstream. But there's been a few hundred brains donated in the UK, and they have a ton of guys with CTE.
Now, going back to Chris Benoit for 2 seconds, do you think steroids mixed with CTE is an issue?
Yeah, there's no research on it. So when it all went down, knowing what he had told me and knowing that the killings were over 2 days and the Bibles and the weird things, like it didn't speak to steroids. Mm-hmm. Certainly steroids are not going to help.
Yeah.
But there aren't enough cases with the interaction to know. And steroids are not going to cause the brain damage. Like the steroids might cause hormonal impulsive behaviors, but it's speculation.
What about drugs? Just like cocaine, Molly, stuff like that. Do you think that affects if someone with CTE takes drugs? Do you think it changes the way they are?
It can't help. It's all about when you have CTE, you have frontal lobe brain damage. Uh-huh. So you become what they call disinhibited. Your prefrontal cortex is helping you make good decisions. And when that starts malfunctioning, you start making worse decisions. You want to layer on drugs and alcohol, decisions are going to get worse.
Now, I know that why does the brain not heal itself? Because I know some organs do, like over time, kind of heal themselves a little bit, but the brain doesn't seem to heal itself.
I don't know if we have a scientific answer. The brain, if you kill a neuron, another one doesn't grow in its place. Okay. We don't exactly know why that is. Other than it's not designed to. There's probably a bad side to that. Your recovery, if you have physical damage, is rerouting around it. You can build other connections, dendritic connections between, create new circuits and work around the injury. But basically, you kill a neuron, your microglia comes in, clears the area, and you're born with about nearly 100 billion neurons, and then they just, you start losing them. You start losing them in midlife.
When it comes to football players in particular, I'm going to focus on football for most of the rest of the interview. How many concussions do you think is okay for a player to have before they're like I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. I'm from Boca Raton. Tua, do we think he should still be playing?
So the interesting thing is that we now have nearly 1,000 football players' brains.
Okay.
And we have all their medical records. We've talked to their families. We know how many concussions they told their family they had. And what we find is there is no number of concussions you were diagnosed with or the number of concussions you told your family about or you think you had when you self-report do not predict CTE.
Okay.
What predicts CTE is, what in our models, is how many years you played, because that is a rough proxy for how many hits you took and how hard they were. And we published a study in 2023 that actually laid sensor data from helmets by position, by year, over the historical careers of everyone in our database. So if you were a college lineman, offensive lineman, you average 860 hits at 24 Gs. And in high school, if you were also a linebacker, you took 750 hits that were this. We laid that over, and that predicted who got CTE.
Interesting.
So it's like a math problem. It's number and strength of head impacts. It's not unlike smoking and lung cancer. Like how many packs a day for how many years is going to predict your lung cancer risk.
What position?
Not concussions.
What positions are most likely to experience the CTE?
So we don't have in those models, because there's no difference. In part because the linemen take more hits, but they're not as hard.
Yeah, because they're so close.
Right. But and then nobody remembers what special teams they were on, and kickoff return will be the worst.
The wedge busters,
and that changes week to week, and so it's really hard to build those in the model. Yeah, exactly. The wedge busters are going to be worse, but like how many? Yeah, I can't remember how many times I was a wedge buster. I was, but I don't remember how many, which seasons and how many times I did it. So the models don't predict by position. Although I am aware of a study that looks at death rates and finds that that the non-linemen are actually a little worse off.
Yeah, linebackers and
probably
safeties.
It is the extreme hits that are probably causing CTE. But one other important piece of data I'll give you is that concussions aren't always the hardest hits you take. So if you think about CTE as a physics injury, concussions are usually the 90th percentile. And what that means, and they put this in a study, for every one concussion a college football player has, they take 341 hits harder than that concussion. And that's probably where the CTE risk lies. The asymptomatic, I think I'm fine, but you got crushed. You're creating microscopic brain damage you can't feel.
Yeah, because it's when the brain inside of your skull like hits the skull. Basically,
no, it's that twisting. Your brain never really hits your skull, and we can see contusions when you die. There are some people who have contusions, but it's really rare among football players. That's like car accident stuff. No, it's the twisting. It's that rotation. It's really the culprit.
And do you think, like, as far as like that, you mentioned car accidents. Oh, a one single head injury, can that cause CTE, or is it more of the repeated over and over and over again?
In theory, it has to be true. But when you look through brain banks of people who've had one severe brain injury that put them into a hospital, we almost never see CTE. So really? It's like your brain is meant to take one hit. It's just not meant to take 100 hits a week.
And so you studied some of the first people involved in this. You were able to get, obviously, there was Mike Webster and Terry Long were the first two people. And that was
before me. Yeah,
that was before you. But then you went to see Andre Waters' family.
To get his brain, I had to call the medical examiner, and then called his mom. Eventually met her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you have like a, I don't know, lack of a better word, spiel? Like when you call a family, like how do you do that? Like it's such a personal thing.
Yeah, I do. Cultivated over time. And I was just having that conversation because in 2006, I was just at our annual gala. I was with my boss from 2006, he was in the office next door. And I was like, I just finished the book, but there was no foundation. And I was like, I think this Waters thing is CT. And the medical examiner just gave me Andre Waters' mother's phone number, and I've got to call her and ask for the brain. And so we wrote out a script together of how do you explain to somebody fast enough the relevant information before they hang up on you or think you're an absolutely insane person? Because I'm not a doctor. This has never been done before.
Yeah, and it's within 2 days of them passing away.
Well, this one was even worse because I went back and forth with the medical examiner for weeks. He was kind enough to entertain the idea that Andre could have had CT, and I sent him literature. Andre, they had buried Andre.
Yeah.
But in Florida law, when somebody dies of unknown suspicious circumstances, like we think it's suicide, but maybe it's something else, they keep brain tissue. Mm-hmm. So they had kept parts of his brain. And so I had to also tell her By the way, his full brain was not buried with him, and we can study it. It's just sitting at the medical examiner's office.
Wow.
Which is a strange thing to tell a mother who lost her son, but they had to do it.
Did you work on Shane Tamura?
No.
No? That was someone else who studied him. How many organizations are studying brains and
that was an organization. So that was the New York City Medical Examiner's Office.
Okay.
Which is the busiest medical examiner's office in the country.
Yes.
And they brought in CT experts from Manhattan. I know who did. But and they were part of the team that developed CT criteria, so they know it.
Okay. And of course, Shane Tamura, for those of you who don't know, was the person who recently tried to shoot up the NFL, made a mistake, shot some other people, and then claimed he did it because he had CTE from playing high school football. And then he did, in fact, have it, even though people were very skeptical, including myself, because you don't think that someone who just played high school football this could happen to them. Do you think that, it is very personal, do you think that you might have it from how much
the odds are I have it? I mean,
really?
The two guys who have had it from my team were not the guys we thought would have it. Like, I was a guy who led with my head. Like, one of those guys was not. And I also had the post-concussion, brain damage. So the only thing I have going for me is I waited till 14 to start. But so I played 8 seasons of football, 3 years of wrestling, headed a lot of soccer balls. But on that high school front, which is, again, it's going to be tough to communicate, but the high school rate is actually much higher than people want to imagine.
Yeah.
Like Shane, I think, is a canary in a coal mine. But we've studied nearly 100 high school players, and 30% have had it in our brain bank. We just don't know how biased our sample is. But we also just had our first brain donor die who was part of the bank CTE study, which means he gave blood while he was alive and then he died. So we can try to diagnose CT through the blood, and we're still enrolling for bank CTE if you want to Google it. Chip Collins, he was his high school captain, played 8 seasons of football, never played after high school, got dementia in his mid-50s. His family went on an odyssey of misdiagnoses for a decade, finally ran into one of my board members at an event and started the conversation, and he only had CT. That's all he had from high school football.
You think now I know I'm going back into it, but now I'm just like thinking about myself. Well,
that's part of the problem. Like we can't go back and take the hits back. And so communicating the fact that there might be, more than 1 million former high school players that have this. If that's true, we're trying to sort of figure out how to get those numbers. It's going to be hard. It's really hard to think about.
Personally, I worry about it because, I'm a nice guy. I got a good head on my shoulders. I'm very, I'm friendly, but I randomly flip out sometimes, and then I think about, I started playing football at 8 years old. And then I played all the way through 16. And I know that's not as long as a lot of other people, but frankly, it worries me because I was such a big guy that I was the biggest baby born in Florida. Not bragging, just telling you who I am.
Oh, wow.
And so they threw me in pads immediately. Mm-hmm. And so that was my father, he just saw dollar signs when I was born, And he played football for University of Missouri. And nothing kicks me harder than not getting his brain studied because he had to quit in the 60s from too many concussions. He had a literal dent in the front of his head, and so I was,
Did you notice any behavioral problems?
The whole family hated him. So it wasn't, he basically excommunicated me from my entire family, and then everyone that loved him growing up ended up hating him by the time he died. And so I really do believe he didn't have any good relationships except for the people that, he married his wife later in life, and he was very peaceful at the end of his life. So that, I will say that. But the rest of it,
did.
Who knows? But I worry about myself, is what I'm saying. Because do you think that it could be certain people are more prone to it? Like you can inherit it in a weird way? Like some people who smoke die sooner than other people?
Yeah, well, you inherit it culturally. Right, in the sense that if Dad played and is still healthy when it's up to you, you get it. So we have a ton of father sons in the brain bank. It's kind of sad. Wow. But then no, it's not. what we have shown is that there's no like huge genetic predisposition. So like we've looked at 500 NFL players' brains and 90% have had it, right? So there's no amazing magic genetic protection because it's basically almost everybody. If you get to 20,000 hits in your life, right? But we have shown very clearly that there are a number of genes that are going to modify how bad it hits you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who are completely fine until their 70s.
And there was,
but not everyone.
we covered it in our episode, and I'm sorry, Wyatt Bromwell, 18 years old.
Yeah.
He ended up taking his own life in 2019, and then he had CTE when did you work on that case?
Yeah, I mean that was our case. He was the youngest person to have stage 2, so he was 18. We thought, like we've published that there's an average of 13 years between stages. So you see stage 1 as late as someone's 40s. And then, earliest stage, like Aaron Hernandez was earliest stage 3 and is 27. Wyatt's earliest stage 2 at 18. So he probably got it like 10.
Yeah.
And it had been already progressing in his brain. He had massive mental health problems in high school. He knew he had it. He'd asked to donate his brain. I actually met his parents for the first time last month at our dinner. They're the sweetest people. Dad was his coach. Like thought, we all thought we were doing the right thing. So it's a very sad case.
It is an extremely sad case. And it's honestly what worries me immensely about what's happening in society today. Right now, you're working on something, and I do want to get to Aaron Hernandez. Trust me, that's what everyone really wants me to. But I want to talk about what you're doing right now, because I watched your TED Talks. Very good. Stop hitting children. So this is. Can you just explain this? We have a lot of listeners. We're a true crime podcast. A lot of our listeners are women in their 40s. So make your plea to them to make sure that their children are doing sports the correct way.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. So yeah, the campaign is called "Stop Hitting Kids in the Head." So we're trying to very clearly make the case that it is completely abnormal to hit children in the head hundreds of times a year, but some sports are still doing it. And try to just make it sort of very clear, like you don't hit your own kid in the head because you worry about the consequences. Therefore, don't let other kids hit your kid in the head. Just because it's culturally acceptable to do that in youth football does not mean it's right. The human brain, when it's developing, especially young, is going through enormous physical changes every day. And these hits are going to disrupt that development. And they're going to turn your kid into somebody different than they were supposed to be without the head impacts. And it does not ever go in a good direction. Brain trauma is never good for you. And so now that we know that there's a straight line with CT, now that we know that concussions increase your risk of mental health disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, like don't let people hit kids in the head. And so our plea to sports is to say, just raise the age at which we start saying open season on your brain. So that's why we got heading banned till 11 in the US, which is still not young enough. We say at least 14 and go as long as you can without hitting your kid in the head.
So you can't put on a helmet and play till you're 11 now?
You can't hit a soccer ball.
Oh, had a soccer ball.
It's illegal in the game. Sorry, yeah. But the problem is tackle football is the one sport where there's no national governing body, and it's a bunch of small capitalist organizations who just are just trying to compete with each other for kids. So there's no age minimums. The only reason the age minimum is 5 is because that's how old you have to be to remember where to line up. And so it's insane that we take a 40-pound kid, put a 4-pound helmet on their head, and ask them to run into people. That's like an NFL player wearing a 30-pound helmet. Like, just imagine how stupid that would be, and the physics to your brain. And also, like your axons, your long 1/20th the width of a human hair axons aren't protected from trauma when you're young. You're building a type of cell around it that will protect it, like coating on a wire. And so it's just like the worst idea ever to be whacking these kids. And now that we put sensors on the helmets of youth football players, they actually, because they're little human bobbleheads, are getting hit as hard as college football players. It doesn't look like it's big, but it's not that they're bringing a lot of energy into the hit, is they can't slow their head down when they get hit, or they can't stop their head from striking the ground when they fall. So, so please don't hit your kids in the head, or don't let anyone else hit your kids in the head. choose sports that just worry about athleticism. They can run into each other once in a while. Again, the body's meant to take that, but this repetition is insane.
What sports are good? Basketball, baseball?
40 sports are good. There's like 4 sports that are bad, right? Like the tackling sports are terrible. Rugby and football when you're young. The ones where you hit a projectile with your head, like soccer. Yeah. Ice hockey with checking is insane at a young age. And now it's banned until 13. And then boxing and MMA with head strikes, like terrible ideas. But after that, it's like everything else is pretty good. Lacrosse has been pretty aggressive in trying to reform and be safer. So I don't have any problems with it. Every head contact is supposed to be a penalty before 14. My kids are playing basketball. They're playing t-ball. They're doing taekwondo. There's no head strikes.
What age should you be allowed to start football, in your opinion?
So our campaign is called Play Flag Until 14. Okay. Then when I talk to my buddies who still love football and want to protect their kids, I say, all right, well, middle school at 12, 13, it's a gray area, right? But there's no reason to start before 12.
Yeah. I mean, I think about it like how scared I was because I was 8 playing with 12-year-olds because of my size. Oh. And then it's because I was a big boy, but these kids are obviously stronger than me. I'm just fat, and so it's and so they're beating the crap out of me. I'm the only white kid on the team. They love hitting me. Good for them. I'm glad they had fun. But
did you also have to play both ways?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was center and defensive tackle, and I would just because I was so big, and the first year, and then I got good by the end of the season, and then both ways until 16, and then I eventually quit just because I loved weed and theater too much. Thank God. But but yeah, man, it was it definitely terrifies me that it could be something that happened. That's
the good news is, I'll tell you this. What I tell everyone, the guys of us who are midlife, at risk, notice things that we don't like about our behavior and our ability, that you treat the symptoms aggressively. You can treat the symptoms. It's not addiction issues are a lot of things that kill people. Get that, you got to have that under control. You're not going to die from this. It's all about the behaviors will kill you, not the disease. Okay. So stay under control. Work on your brain health.
How do you do that?
One of the things I've done is
lion's mane.
No. Supplements are all garbage. I have started losing. I've started losing weight. I've actually. I'll tell you. I haven't told anybody. I'm taking GLPs. I'm taking Zepbound.
Oh, I'm on it, baby. Let's rock. I lost 60 pounds. I feel like a new man.
Oh, great. I'm down 35, and I'm actually weaning off blood pressure medication because hold on to whatever you can. Heart health is brain health. You got to eat like champs, and we have to be vigilant, but also I keep telling guys, look, you can develop a cure in 20 years easy if you get things right, if we invest in this thing. And so now it's just trying to build this army of ex-football guys and ex-rugby guys and people who are at risk going, do it for you. Do it for you. We can fix this thing before it gets bad, but we have to work now.
Any leads on a cure?
Well, so we're basically at this point where I think we're on the cusp of diagnosing CT in living people. And at that point, we can start clinical trials. What we've learned in the last 5 years is that we've been trying to draft off Alzheimer's disease research because they're both the same protein is going wrong in the brain. What we have learned, though, is
tau protein, right?
Tau protein, yes, exactly. But it misfolds with these injuries. We've learned that the misfolding of CT and misfolding of Alzheimer's is slightly different. And that means that the tests for Alzheimer's don't work for CT to image it on PET scans and the blood tests. So we have to build our own biomarkers, and then we'll probably have to build our own drugs. But we'll use it using Alzheimer's technology, and Alzheimer's technology has made huge leaps. There's a drug now for the plaque. We just need to get a drug for this protein.
And you mentioned a moment ago about addiction and CTE. Do you think that CTE can lead to people being just more chance of them becoming dealing with addiction, whether it's alcohol or drugs or gambling?
It's hard to prove scientifically based on a brain bank sample, but you wouldn't believe the number of brain donors that we have who are uncontrolled alcoholics who died of liver failure.
Okay.
And including my old roommate, Chris Eitzman, who was captain of the Heart football team, 3 years in the NFL, MBA from Dartmouth, investment guy, doing amazing until alcohol took over. and within 5 years he was dead, and his frontal lobe was shrunk. And so it's like you cannot battle addiction with a damaged frontal lobe as well as you could with a healthy brain. So I absolutely think you would not believe that the stories I could tell you about the uncontrolled alcoholics that were the worst alcoholics you've ever heard that have died with CTE.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense to me because you're trying to dumb the pain down as well.
Rise from your grave.
I did a documentary, and one of the subjects I touched on in the documentary was about gambling addiction. And I talked to Dr. Danny Danley. She's a gambling counselor in Reno. And she said in her studies, though there's no one's funding this research, but just her as a human being, she said that there is a definite link that she could see between head injuries and gambling addiction. And so do you think that this is something that like a lot of people have been in like multiple car accidents and stuff like that? Football players, obviously they love gambling. I watched Brian Cox spend a lot of money on a cruise ship once.
I don't think there's any, it's good. I don't doubt that for a second. The traumatic brain injuries lowers makes you more impulsive. It again, that disinhibition. There's no, yes, I haven't looked up specifically the brain injury and gambling stuff, but I don't doubt it for a second.
Awesome. And, Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
So you listened to the series. Thank you very much. I appreciate you listening.
It was wonderfully entertaining.
What I get wrong?
You got nothing wrong. I was like, this is really incredibly well researched. I was very impressed.
Fuck yes. Shout out to Grant Gordon. He did a lot of work. He's also a big fan of yours. Oh, my buddy Grant, who helped me write the CTE stuff, he wanted me to ask, what's your favorite type of cooler?
My favorite type of what?
Cooler. Yeah. What kind of cooler do you use? What is it? You got a Yeti? Like when you go get a brain, like what's it like?
Oh, jeez.
I love a barbecue. I'm always trying to get like the best cooler possible. Like what do you? I have transported a brain once in a styrofoam cooler. Like it's. Oh my God.
That's
insane.
Yeah.
How does it not like, is there like a certain like type of cooler that you're supposed to use?
No, usually they're transmitted. Well, there's two ways the brain gets to the brain bank. One is that it's a courier. Like if you get there within hours of them dying, it's actually a courier that gets it right to the brain bank in Boston within hours, because that allows you to flash freeze it, do all these amazing genetic tests and things you can't do usually. So I don't know what the couriers are using.
Do they just put it on like a commercial flight, or like what is this, FedEx, or like what is this?
It's a commercial flight. Like we're literally like our team is literally working with the services who show up to the somebody gives them the brain and then they bring it to us. Like,
so you're sitting on a Delta flight with a brain in your lap?
I haven't done that role, but God bless it, there are people who do that for us.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there's and then the other way is that you have to put it in a formalin solution, like formaldehyde type of thing. And it's literally in a receptacle, and it sits and it has to harden for weeks because the brain is so soft. So it can be transferred without getting damaged, and then it gets shipped. Wow.
So Aaron Hernandez, he takes his own life in prison. How fast are you with that phone call? Who'd you call? Who'd you call? His mother?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what's public here, but that was I believe they initiated that. The family. They
initiated that, you believe? Okay, and so you get it, you study it, you see it. He had more advanced than anyone at his age at the time, correct?
Correct.
And so what do you do with that information? Do you immediately run to the press? Do you what do you do? Like that's just like such valuable info. That this man who just killed multiple people, over time, he suffers from this disease that is a reflection of football. Like that is very valuable information. Like, what do you do once you find out? Do you guys, is it like, because I hear it last podcast, like crazy news happens, you start to get like a morbid like way of looking at it, like we're like, oh my God, there was, high five, like you're not happy it happened, but you're like, oh, we got something to talk about, and so like, what is this like the crazy? Is that your biggest case? Like, I don't even know what I'm asking here.
That case got more attention than any other case, and so yes, I'll tell you what happened when we got the call. We're like, oh gosh, like we're going to find like a couple little spots of disease and it's not going to explain anything. And we thought it was just going to be like not help advance our understanding. But then when Dr. Ann McKee studied it, said, no, this is stage 3. It's like, oh, now I can understand how somebody who might have had some behavioral issues, might have gotten in a little bit of trouble, turned into somebody who just signed a $40 million contract, but yet chooses to murder people over small things. Right, like that makes no sense. Like stage 3 to me helped make sense of this bizarre behavior that he exhibited. And then the question was, well, this is a public health issue, and I'm coming from the perspective of I've already seen this with Chris Benoit. We have other murder suicides in the brain bank. Like people need to know what's happening here because this is entirely preventable, entirely optional, and we're giving this brain disease to kids like Wyatt Bramwell. So we actually had an annual CT conference coming up, and I suggested to Dr. McKee that she present this as a case study. We actually had a few dozen of our brain donor family members in the audience for this event because we had a dinner afterwards. So like she presented at this conference to all these families with a room full of press, and luckily everyone heard about it.
Wow, that is mind blowing. How is the NFL? Because at one point it was 110 out of 111 NFL players you examined had CTE, and I don't know what the numbers are at now because
the last one
time has happened.
345 out of 376.
345 out of 376. So that's 90-something%. And so, how many players do you think have it that play professional football? Percentage wise.
Yeah, well, we've proven it's at least 10% of all NFL players who've ever played.
Okay.
And I think we're about to update that number.
Wow. How has the NFL covered up CTE?
League of denial is probably the best way to get a window into that. So at the beginning, they were trying to sort of cover up the concussion issue. By when Aikman and Steve Young had to retire, they started a concussion committee. And then that committee designed research that I figured out when I wrote my book could only find negative results. Like basically, like they were tracking people over their careers, but if they retired from a concussion in the study, they would drop out of the study because they couldn't get in touch with them for follow-up studies. So they would just say, oh, that didn't matter. So you could only study the healthy people. Yeah. And so they concluded from these studies of only healthy people, there were no long-term effects. And then when the CT stuff started to happen, they first tried to get the Benoit papers, pulled out of the journal. They wrote these scathing letters saying this is ridiculous. It's misdiagnosed. It's all this stuff. And then
they did a hit job on him.
Pardon?
It seemed like they did a hit job on him. They tried to discredit all of his research. Well, it seemed like to me.
Yeah, they did.
As an outsider.
He also was not a classic researcher.
Okay.
So there were things to pick apart.
Gotcha.
And that's in part why I started the Unite Brain Bank at Boston University with the foundation and Dr. McKee's, because this needed to be real academics who just did research all day. He was a pathologist and a medical examiner and did a great thing by finding these cases, but he's never been full-time research. So, but yeah, they attacked him, and then they kept rolling out prestigious doctors who would say that we're completely wrong and we're stupid and, and we're liars. And I mean, they said some crazy things over the years to try to discredit us every chance they got.
And obviously, I think Paul Tagliabue was way worse at it than Roger Goodell. But has there been any improvements made in the last couple of years? Like, do you feel like they're actually taking it seriously?
So they were sort of forced to acknowledge it in front of Congress in 2016. But it's not like they're trying to raise awareness of it. They are making more reforms to the game now. But honestly, like if you actually look at it, if they've changed the kickoff and they've done all these things, but a lot of that's about keeping players healthy on the field to make a better product. They're still recruiting children to start playing as young as 5. Like they've got these ads with Peyton Manning and Eli Manning coaching against each other where they're recruiting tackle football, but they never show the kids colliding.
They're playing at halftime at the stadium.
Yeah. And so you can't be serious about preventing CTE if you're also telling everyone to start at 5 years old. Yes. Right? If they use their influence to say there should be an age minimum And therefore, if we put the age minimum in and we teach everybody to not tackle in practice at the college and high school level like we're doing, then you would actually have future NFL players without CTE. But changing the rules for the last 2 or 3 years of their career is not going to stop the CT train.
Yeah. Can helmets be any safer than they are, or it just doesn't even matter what you do with it?
A little
right?
bit. I mean, because the problem is, again, rotational acceleration. A helmet's not going to do that much for rotational acceleration.
Yeah.
It's really good for linear. They're decent for linear. So no, the helmet stuff and the guardian cap is all a distraction. And USA Today just exposed that the NFL has not been fully transparent about how effective guardian caps are.
And guardian cap, is that the headband?
That's the padding you put over it that they mandated for the preseason.
Yes.
They were saying that the guardian cap was responsible for 50% reduction in concussions. Then they studied it. Then the reviewers told them to isolate only the hits to the helmet, not just the face mask, because the face mask has a pad on it. It turned out that reduction was no longer statistically significant when you just focused on when they hit the guardian cap itself. And they never changed their talking points. And USA Today called them out for going, listen, your own research debunked your talking point. Why are you still saying the talking point?
Can you watch football?
I watch it for research. I like to monitor like how they talk about the big hits and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't watch it for fun. I don't carve out my afternoons anymore. I don't encourage my kids to watch. I still can watch it for fun because football has become completely sanitized, from what we played. Like you no longer they shine up and paint everyone's helmets every week now. So you no longer see the gashes we used to see.
Yeah.
There's no longer
I
blood on
loved.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I love the gash. The chip face masks, all that stuff. So everybody looks fine, and it looks like a safe game until you see that big hit. Until you see in the Patriots game Monday night, a guy's helmet chip off.
Yeah.
And you realize, oh my God, if you hit someone hard enough to chip the surface of their helmet, you have destroyed their brain.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no question about it.
No, it's not. I mean, I still love the players. I still support the players and all that stuff, but it's just.
Hey, it's like you don't support war, but you love the soldiers. It's the same thing. Yeah. It's that's how I look at it. It's weird because I think about I just been so ever since going through this series and studying what you've studied and stuff like that, I think about everything so much. It's even down to celebrating, we would always smash our heads against each other, in a friendly way. It was that was committing it. You get those aren't counted. Those are hard. Practice is insane. Most of what I believe my concussions happened in practice, and so
exactly. Why would the hell are we hitting in practice at all? Can't you teach us how to play football without smashing our brains?
Exactly.
Using your head to headbutt people is interesting, in part just because I just did my annual trainings for WWE wrestling and AEW wrestling. And one of the videos I show is Goldberg doing an interview about how this match he had with The Undertaker in Saudi Arabia, he liked to headbutt the locker before he went out to his match. And he did it this time in Saudi Arabia, and he hadn't done it in a while, and he concussed himself. And then he went out and did the match, gave himself another concussion, and nearly killed the Undertaker by dropping him on his head.
People. Yeah. Yeah, the Undertaker's
this old football habit he had.
Yeah. It's so what would you do if your son was like, I want to play football?
I don't think at this point, I'm just surrounded by football players dying and suffering every day. So I would tell him no. There's other ways to have sports and build teams. And you mentioned theater. When people say I learned all my best lessons in football, I actually think I learned a ton of my lessons in theater too. I learned a lot in football, but there's
it's where the chicks are too, by the way.
So I'm thinking things going through my head. I'm not going to say yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that we need to learn how to teach kids all these valuable lessons without giving them brain damage. That's my position.
That is very sweet, man. I love it. And so your organization, Concussion Legacy Foundation, you are looking for brains. You're at all times. So you have a backlog of brains that you guys have to get.
We have a 15,000 person brain donation registry of people who signed up and told their families, and so they're coming in now on a regular basis, and then everyone else calls when their dad's in hospice or something. When will this air?
This is going to air around Christmas.
Okay, so by then we will have rebranded ourselves.
Oh, okay.
So
Please tell me about it.
We are becoming, because of the advancements that we think are coming next year with CTE, we are becoming the Concussion and CTE Foundation. We're going to give it equal billing to CTE, equal billing to concussion, and we'll be at concussionandcte.org. Of our 1,700, our families are predicting CTE accurately about 60% of the time.
Wow. That's wild.
Our NFL families are predicting it 90% of the time, but everyone else at 60. And to put that in perspective, less than 1% of the population has this.
So do you ever say no if someone's like, I want to donate a brain or I do anything like that? You're like,
we actually have to turn away more now than we can take because of that limit of doing 150 a year. There's certain criteria you have to meet of exposure. Like we're no longer like interested in like the low exposure cases. Like we need the CT tissue because we're sending it to researchers around the world trying to figure this thing out.
Oh, okay. So at risk of making myself look stupid, you want my brain? Do you need it?
You would qualify, unfortunately.
I would qualify. Dude, I'm signing up. You could totally have my fucking brain. I don't need it. I don't understand why people are so... It's trash. And I'm done with it. It's just going in the garbage. You're not
going to feel it when we go in there and get it.
Yeah, no. I was
help a lot of people.
You really could, right? And a lot of people can. A lot of people start playing football at such a young age. I'm definitely going to sign up. I'm putting you on at the end of the year, I do lots of donations. You guys are definitely going to be on the list. Make sure that you're donating to them. And before we go, there's one thing. If last podcast on the left, I feel like it would be rude of me to not bring this up. In our studies of doing this, studying evil people, alive and dead, it is so often that serial killers and mass shooters have head trauma, have experienced some sort of head injury, were abused by their parents, and stuff like that. Have you ever thought about trying to get serial killers' brains and studying them for CTE?
Yes. In fact, a lot of the mass shooters we've reached out to, including like we got Robert Card's brain, who killed 17 in Lewiston, Maine, who was a grenade instructor in National Guard.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of brain damage, not CT, but a lot of different types of brain damage. So yes, no, we do. And in fact, you can be my eyes and ears on this. Let's we can work together and grab some.
Gary Ridgway is about to die. He's the Green River Killer. He killed 50 people on record, up to 80. He's about to pass away. They're saying he's like days from death. So that's one to keep on the books. But yeah, Richard Ramirez, David Berkowitz, John Wayne Gacy, Martin Bryant, Fred West, Kraft, Rowling, Picton, the Hillside Stranglers, Starkweather. These guys. It's like I went and asked my buddy who works on the show with me. That's like off the top of his head. He was just like, boom, 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 boom. And so it's very prevalent as far as like serial killers and spree shooters. Yeah. I feel like this is something
we should do something with this. I mean, it's traumatic brain injury is well known in the criminal, convict community, people in prison, way overpopulated by more likely to have brain injury histories than the population.
All right. I'm giving you my brain. We're getting Gary Ridgway's brain. I'm telling you, we're starting a new thing here, Chris. Dr. Nowinski, sorry. I kind of like you a lot. Sorry, I called you Chris. But Dr. Nowinski, thank you so much. Guys, go check out his book, Head Games. There's a documentary about the subject. Check that out. It was directed by the same fellow who directed Hoop Dreams, right?
Yeah, Steve James, legend, is awesome.
Yeah, legend. So it's I haven't seen it myself. I can't wait to watch it. I just bought your book. So next time I talk to you, because I'm gonna find you. And then
I'm glad you can still find it. That's great.
Where can people find it if they want to check out your book?
I mean, nowhere. I mean, you can get the Kindle. You can get the Kindle.
Read it. It's more important.
I mean, it's out of stock. I think my publisher went out of business. There's some in my closet. I'll send you a box.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, so that's not a horrible idea. The Concussion Legacy Foundation is being rebranded to what again? How do people find you?
Concussion and CTE Foundation.
Yes, and then you could just go ahead and follow Christopher Nowinski on Instagram. It stays very up to date. I love following your Instagram. All the work you've done with the Brain Donation Registry with Dr. Cantu and Dr. Ann McKee over at the Boston University has been incredible. I honestly, you're a hero to me, and it is an honor to talk to you for an hour and get to know you, and keep doing your work, man. And anything you need from me or Last Podcast on the Left, you hit me up. I got your back forever. I'm
so honored.
We got you, man. Well, fundraisers, I'll show up and donate. We'll do a comedy show and raise some money for you. Anything you need, man. I'm all about it.
I'm in for all of it. And hit me up next time you're back home, Boca. Thrilled. Honored to meet you. Appreciate you so much.
Back at you, buddy. Keep up the good work. That's my man. I love that dude.
That's very interesting, man.
Yeah. So please, if you enjoyed this episode, I'm going to share it with my nephew who plays high school football. They have him going both ways because he's really good, because he was related to me. So obviously he's going to be a good football player. But they have him going both ways. I'm going to try and talk him out of it. I'm going to make him listen to this episode as a way to be like, hey man, at least just play one side of football. Share it with your families. You know anyone who has a young boy who's thinking about getting into football, send them this episode. Stop hitting kids. That is the whole thing with Chris Nowinski. Thank you so much. Go donate to the Concussion Legacy Foundation. Be a part of it. This is something that is near and dear to my heart. I love you, Mr. Nowinski, Dr. Nowinski, and everyone else who cares about this. Also,
just slightly strangle kids.
Yes. See? Is that easy?
Homer Simpson.
Yeah. This Sunday, I'm going to be in Oxnard. Come and see me. If you got nothing to do, it's going to be amazing. That is going to be Sunday, January 4th, Oxnard, California, Levity Live. It's going to be me, Carolina Hidalgo, Holden McNeely, Jake Young, and Julia Johns. It's going to be a fucking blast. Come hang out with me. Start your new year off right.
Yeah, baby. Happy New Year.
All right.
See you next year.
Yes.
See you next year, you idiots.
Unless you're listening to this tomorrow.
See you in 2026, you fucking morons.
Unless it's already 2026 and you missed it because who really listens to a podcast on New Year's Eve?
You're late.
I asked to release it on a different day. They're like, no, we have to do it on the wrong day. So there you go.
Rock and roll.
Hell yeah. Please be good people.
Try.